Oh, you lovely bunch of little monkeys you are all together. I'd like to raise a toast to Isabel and Matt, who have joined us here in matrimony of Guinness. I'd like to raise your glasses to them. Just talking, you'll get more familiar with that. To Matt and Isabel.
Congratulations.
I'm not following suit.
That is the proper way to drink a pint of Guinness. We always do that to tourists, no go. Right, thank you for coming. I shall, Bernice asked me what's going to happen. She's casing the joint. And I said, I go on and I lower the bar. And then everybody thinks, for fuck's sake, I could be better than that Irish guy. So, I have a new book. This is just a proof copy. It's called Crawling Out and Falling Up. That's what it's called. And that's me 3 times in the mirror, my shadow, and me with stripes. Okay? These are 2 poems from their book. This is called The Nurture of Culture. This is dedicated to the Guildford Shakespeare Company, who have been brilliant. If you saw their latest All's Well that Ends Well, which is a very hard play to see performed, you just don't come across it. And they were only brilliant. Guildford Shakes have this terrible habit of topping themselves. They go that high and think, wow, that's brilliant. Next one, oh, up there. Next one, up that, what? And it just goes up and up. This time, absolutely brilliant. So much so that they've transferred to London. It's stopped being here now. So if you want to see Guildford Shakes, you got to go up to German Theatre, all right? So this is called The Nurture of Culture. We're down in St. Mary's, which is a very old church in Guildford altogether. And instead of doing a play, they were doing a read-through of the play. And they came out with the most famous lines of Shakespeare, which everybody will know, which is from Pericles. And it's called, have you a working pulse, or are you a fairy? She comes back from the dead, so he goes, oh my God, are you alive? And Mariana, or I forget her name now, she gets washed up, taken by pirates, and she's so pure that she's in a brothel, and she's so pure and good that nobody will defile her. So there you go. So, this nice Duke comes along to have his wicked way with her, he pays his money, and he can't do it because her purity kills him. And the brothel keeper says, she sent him away, cold as a snowball. So they're the lines that came out. And I thought, where did I last hear those lines? And it was in '86, I'd just come over to England. I was a green Irish hick. I didn't know anything. London awed me. And I saw my first punk and my first English vicar. I'd never seen either of these things. I thought the time for punks was gone by. This was '86. I was in Camden Market. And I was standing looking at something. And this punk came over to me. And he had Mohican hairstyle, all that things and all. I thought they'd gone out of fashion. And I was trying to cast glances up at him like that, and he had razor blades coming out of his nose, a chain of razor blades, and they were coming out like that, and they were continuing. So I looked over to see where the razor blades were going, and they were going 2 stalls away to his punk girlfriend, who was also very Mohican. And when she got bored with what she was seeing, she went, yak! And he went, like that. And I thought, my second punk in '86 was Green Park Tube Station. I don't know if any of you know Philip Glass's A Dancer Prepares. Beautiful piece of vocalese music. And A Dancer Prepares. So what you hear is, when you're away from the stage, you see all the beauty of the movement. But when the dancer prepares, you hear the step hit the floor, go, oh, and you hear the dancer going, on her pant, her gasp, to create the beauty that you see. And then there's this very high vocalese that's superbly high and beautiful. And you think, that's magnificent. And you think she can't go any higher, and she does. And then you think she can't go any higher than higher, and she does. And it just soars. And that was the last time I saw that. And this punk reached down, hit the button on his tape recorder, put his hands in his pockets, and he starts singing the vocalese to A Dancer Prepares. So you should never judge the look by the lover or by the car. And I thought, that's amazing. My vicar, I got invited to the vicar's thing to see his marrow. He's a very giant marrow. He himself was a very giant man. He looked like the Michelin Man. And I came to the vicarage, and his wife said, "Oh, Frederick," that's how she pronounced it, "Oh, Frederick is out in the garden." And I went out, and behind the bush was this enormous belly, and water coming, gushing forth like that. And he was in a little pair of shorts, this enormous belly, and he was watering his roses there. And the garden was magnificent altogether. Like, it was truly a thing of beauty. The only time I've ever seen a garden beautiful than that was when we went to Anne Hathaway's cottage. And as you walked around Anne Hathaway's cottage, there was all these little videos that you press and it comes on. And some actor chap goes, "Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely than..." And we were looking at Anne Hathaway's cottage going, "Whoa, if it's a summer's day, this wins any time." Forget Anne Hathaway, because it was a gorgeous garden altogether. So I tried to talk to the vicar, as a poor Irish little geek would, about theology, and he said, "Oh, no, dear boy, that's old stuff and nonsense. I never wanted to be a vicar in the first place. I wanted to be an actor or a gardener. I am a gardener, and the acting profession is I just pretend to be a vicar. And, you know, it's as good as job as anyway. You don't need a belief, you just..." And he was also wearing his collar in his nakedness, near nakedness. And his collar was white, and he had a green peg holding on at the back. So this is the story of how he gets his garden the way it is. It's called the nurture of culture. "Have you a working pulse?" the vicar asked of his prized petunias. Real good petunia in there. "They perk up at once to the Pericles. She sent him away cold as a snowball. He whispers to his gladioli." Very good gladioli there. "Once again the Pericles does the trick. They positively beam at him, eager for more Shakespeare. Oh yes, flowers," the vicar eagerly pontificates, "adore Shakespeare, especially Pericles and other minor plays, rather than, say, the Great Dane or say, Othello. I hardly believing the flowers bardolatry, the vicar's garden a paradise. The herbs prefer Gilbert and Sullivan," he informs me, as if it were ordinary. "Really?" I gasped, disbelievingly. "Ah, be my guest," he offers in good faith. I tentatively approach a sprig of oregano. He looks suspiciously like a sprig of oregano. "Ah, be my guest," he offers in good faith. He looks startled, being sung to. "Poor wandering one, though you were sad and lonely. No, my son, herbs like to be spoken to, not sung. And this time, perhaps, he admonishes the correct words. He preaches as if from a pulpit, a congregation of herbs and flowers, hanging on his every word, eager believers. Him I tentatively begin. Poor wandering one, though thou hast surely strayed. The oregano dances in the breeze, he so very, very pleased. Or sometimes, my son, a little dash of no coward. Ha! What compulsion compels them? I sing to the chives, and who the hell tells them? Before being interrupted as before, no, my son, spoken, not sung. Why do the wrong people travel, when the right people stay back home? Excellent, one of their favourites, dear boy. What could I possibly say? His voice provoked such a fecundity that could not be for a second doubted, although doubt I did. Oh yes, when one talks in one's garden, one must bear in mind that flowers and herbs prefer, how should one say, a little culture. Thank you. I was Ireland's first poet in residence in a secondary school, and they lent me out to the Boy Scouts one morning, so I had to deal with 5 to 10-year-olds. And in the evening, I was at the old folks' home in Bray, and they were all widows of British people who had died in service. And I was talking to them all, and I'd only my love poems with me, and I thought, are these love poems too much for these little old dears? And I thought, give it a go. It turned out, after I read, that they all came around me, and they all told me the stories of their love lives, everything, and it was a far better love life than I had. It was a far better exotic time. They were all in the war. They were diving off carriers in the South China Sea, and Marjorie was telling me about the first time that she got kissed. So, for the purpose of this poem, you'll have to pretend that I am Marjorie. I am going to need a volunteer from the audience. You! Isabel, I promise you this won't hurt a bit. Isabel,
I'm insured.
have you ever been kissed, to your knowledge, on your popliteal fossa?
I have to ask my husband.
More would I know.
Now, Isabel is blatantly displaying her patellas here and here. Of course, fellas have patellas too, but women's patellas are finer patellas than the ordinary. Matt, do you see your patellas? No, I may put them away again. Sorry. Could you turn around, Isabel, please? Isabel is now showing you her popliteal fossa twice. And as Michael knows from a study of anatomy, the popliteal fossa is this depression here and here, commonly known as the back of the knees. We will now return to the safety of your seats. I shall put my popliteal fossa finder away. I always carry a popliteal fossa finder. So, I am Marjorie. For your delectation and delight, I have become Marjorie. And she's telling me about, it was the first time I heard the term popliteal fossa. So this is called, well, kiss my popliteal fossa. I remember the golden tassels of my dress touching the back of my knees as I was kissed for the very first time, bent over in a clinch as if we were statuary. The tassels touch exquisite in itself, much more sensual than the actual kiss, as I wondered, his tongue dancing with my tonsils, if there was a name for that sort of thing. The back of the knees, I mean. Okay, Freddie, I commanded. Seeing as I seem to be in command here, that's quite enough of that. Shattered, he reluctantly took his tongue out of my cheek. Cheeky bugger, I thought. Should never have let him go that far. Crestfallen, he stammered, I'm sorry, you won't tell my mother, will you? Hid his erection with his topper. I went in at once and asked the father, Father, is there a name for the back of the knees? Of course there is, my love. It's your popliteal fossa. I tingled to my toes, having discovered my first erogenous zone, and knowing that one day I would become a doctor. Thank you. And lastly, before I go, Ray, did you dress yourself this morning?
I personally did, yes.
Right, I thought as much.
No help.
This is called clothes. Have no memory. Your most prized dress must confess that it cannot remember the swell of your breast, the rise and fall of your breathing. Clothes have no memory. It is winter now and your summer frock has totally forgot the sheer sunny shockingness of being underneath it all absolutely knickerless. Kisses like butterflies alighting high on your inner thigh. Don't even go there, Ray. Clothes have no memory. Your bra, unhooked, unhinged, cannot really recall the thrill of it all. As my hands caress, create your breasts. Clothes have no memory. Clothes have no memory. Well, I do. Thank you. Oh, dear, oh, dear. Will the right honourable